So yeah, we're into part 2 here. Carrying on after this hand, we're going to move into King 3 off hand. Probably too. I'm not going to steal this, it's just too tight. Plus, people are doing crazy shit. But it's an interesting hand. The bubbles finally burst. Did that guy just peel? No, he jammed. Oh, okay, this guy's gone all in. Didn't even look at that. Ace 5, the ace king. 7 big blinds, jamming ace 5 suits, it's fine. Unfortunate for that guy, he's run out of chips. King jack. So yeah, it folds to me. So this is a spot where obviously my hand should be an open. We have to understand some variance. So my sizing, I think just min opening is fine. This guy's very likely to call no matter the size. I don't think opening 100 or 105 makes any difference. So I should probably just min open. Yeah, this guy's a little short, but I still don't think he's going to be jamming super wide. We just have an easy fold if we're 3-bet. So yeah, I think like it's an open. We're going to be ahead of this guy's range. Yeah, that's what I do. He re-raises me, so here's a spot where we know this guy is aggressive, and we know this guy is splashing. So we do have some potential to call here, hit a top pair, and stack off. However, it is a spot where we do have a decent sized stack, and so we're not short and desperate at this point, and we do know this guy's like very loose, and he is also in the big blind though, so I think he's more likely to call from the big blind with random bluff hands that we're like king 10 off. He's probably more likely to call a hand like king 10 than 3-bet it. Maybe he'll 3-bet some of the suited hands, so I don't think we should be calling even though he's kind of loose. The hand just, even though it's got some good potential, it's not going to play amazingly, plus he's the big stack, and I'd be resigned to having to, if I flopped a jack as top pair, I'd probably have to just jam the flop if he bet, and if I hit a king I could probably call and then make sure we get it in on the turn, but when I miss, which is going to happen decent amount of the time, I'm going to be like losing, so I think like going for the safer play as a fold is better. I probably would call a hand like king queen off against him though, king jack suited for sure, but yeah, I think going for the fold is a safer play. I'd say it'd probably be okay for me to call and just see a flop. It wouldn't be bad, but trying to save my chips here. 9-4 we fold, 10-6 we're going to fold, king 8 under the gun we're going to fold, king queen in a big blind, let's see. So under the gun open, so here's a spot where we just have a very clear call. We know this guy's tight, he's probably opening like, so we have a look, early position, we've seen in PFR a couple of times, but he's still probably going to be opening like 12% max. Those could even be opening 7 to 12%. King queen, way too good a hand to fold, not good enough to raise against his range. We don't have enough chips, easy call, let's see what the flop is. Flop a king, it's an interesting flop. He checks, which is really good news, because if he'd c-bet like half pot, I'd be in kind of a tough spot, in my opinion. I'd have to continue, but it would be kind of annoying. And ace is a really good card for us, so here we have a choice. So what we think he checks, he could check some ace-x, like ace-jack, but we do think he's a tight player. We think he's betting his ace-x very often. We don't think he's opening a huge amount of weak suited aces. So we think his range is king-jacks, and then just like 8s, 9s, 7s, 10s, jacks. So I think going for a small bet here to target those hands on the turn is the best strategy, and then on the river maybe going small again. I believe is a good strategy here. So yeah, small, and he just insta-mucks it. No idea what he had. Maybe he had like Jack 10 suited. No, I probably had some of their sevens, but like obviously if this is a spot where I just have complete air here, it wouldn't be bad for me. Like if I'm making him fall for this size, like against this particular player, I could theoretically just bet really small or large parts of my range, that complete garbage, and it'd be really profitable. But yeah, I'd be afraid to go for value. So what have I learned in this table so far? Way too tight. Do splashy, fishy. Guy's got a short stack now, but way too loose. Well, I wouldn't say way too loose. He's not too loose in my opinion. I think generally his strategy is probably fine. He's just not playing. When he's playing against me, he's not playing against someone who's just going to fold. Playing against someone who's going to fight for pots. So yeah. But he's open looser, shall we say. 10-6. In the small blind, I might probably, if it folds to me, I'm probably limp against this guy. No, it doesn't. Only tens. Now we. So this is an interesting spot because it's this guy. We're going to be a lot ahead of his range. So here's where I think these are the spots where you basically need a bit of luck, but this is also the kind of spots where you make your money. I don't think I want to call here because this guy's going to continue quite a lot. Now that this guy's jammed, this guy's going to continue quite a lot, and he could just have stuff like Queen 5 off, King Deuce suited, just all these kinds of hands that have overcards and like 25 to 45% equity against my range, my hand here, and like call in and just let them see a flop in my opinion would be a disaster. So I think my best play here is just jam. And it kind of like, it would suck if, this guy called me off with, jacks or something, or, ace, jack, and, I'm flipping, and then I go out. But I just think tens, this guy's way too loose. Tens are very, very much ahead of his range. This guy will be jamming decently wide to like 15-20% kind of hands range. So I think like we jam, hope none of these guys wake up with it, which is, they're probably not likely to put the money in here unless they have something really strong. And then if this guy's way too loose and is going to end up calling me with stuff like, King 8 suited, or, deuces to nines. I mean, some of those hands should be calling, but if he deuces to nines, I'm crushing that range. I'm still ahead of like a lot of hands, and I'm flipping with a lot of other hands that he'll call with. So I think this is a spot where you just have to take in the sit and go. Plus with this dead money as well in the pot, plus he might just fold anyway. And then it just lets us be heads up against his range, which we're going to be ahead of for sure. So yeah, I think we just have to go for this spot. He calls, so this is our first Monger-ass moment. So like now, obviously the flop is brilliant, but now it's kind of a spot where when he calls, I don't really care about being ahead of him as much. If I am, it's a bonus, because my tournament life is on the line. I mainly care about winning this spot against TS, but because I've hit the nuts on the flop, I'm probably winning it. Yeah. So this guy put it with ace 9 suited, so a hand that we've got like 30% plus or something against. I'm pretty sure we got like 30%, 70% against that hand specifically. We've got tens with a, 30, or just under 30. So yeah, and then this guy, we've beaten him likely to, Queen 9. So yeah, he's definitely jamming very wide against this guy, which I don't blame him for doing. This guy's being way too loose. But the problem is he doesn't have much fold equity with a hand like Queen 9, which kind of needs some fold equity. But so yeah, this goes out. We hold, scoop a big one. We are in back in business. So we're on level 3 too. Here folds to me, king 6, just even though I doubled up, even though these guys are kind of tight, I know that I could steal here, probably be okay with a steal. It's like an explosive thing, like I've seen that these guys are playing very tight aggressive styles, all of them, from what I read on the taunt table. The problem is this guy can call me with like some king 7s, king 8s, king 9s. So it's not the best. It's just, if it was suited, I would for sure open this spot. But I think like here we just got to be disciplined and fold and maybe open king 9 off best. Maybe king 8 off against these specific players. King 8 off, but definitely king 6 is just way too loose. And then yeah, glad I didn't open it because I would have had to fold. But yeah. Yeah, so here, king 10 off, because it's this guy's big blind. I can probably open it and be ahead of his range, but this guy is going to be all in. There's kind of like mind game things I don't really want. So everyone's going to see my cards at the end of the hand. So even though this would be a fine open with this guy in the pot, I don't really want people to see I'm opening this wide, so I think I prefer folding based off of this replay, but opening wouldn't be bad either. Oh, this guy opens anyway, so I can just fold. This guy opens off an 11 big blind stack is kind of suspicious. Usually when people do this, they either just like, they're weaker players, or they're like, trying to induce someone to jam. Like, oh, by the way, if you see a type player like a limp, like on a short stack, and you've seen he's tight and he isn't like doing much limping, like, you need to get out of there. Because that guy's got aces or kings. Something you learn on these small sitting guys. But it's a good exploit to do against certain player types, but like you can pick up these reads pretty quickly. Like you can, if someone like this limped, for example, or like a loose passive fish, you'd be like, well, he's limping wide, I can jam my pocket 4s profitably. But you see a guy who's tight, like let's say this guy limps, he's got 11 to 12 PFR. Let's say he just opened limps and he's got 11 big blind stack, or 1700 stack, right? With his tight range, say he limps, it's very likely he has a trap because of he might see people behind that being splashy, especially when you've been isolating a lot. Some people are going to limp to try and induce you to do something, so it's just something you got to watch out for. I've made a couple of hero folds in my time. Yeah, so yeah. Of course this guy peels. Just curious. Yeah. He wins a pot with heat 4 against queens. You see, so even 3x and then 11 big blinds is kind of an indication that he wants some action. And then he gets punished because if he had just jammed this spot, if he just jammed it, right, this guy would probably fold. He might not, because he's a crazy fish, but he'd probably folded and he could have picked up the blinds and antes pre-flop. Like, yeah, he could have picked up the 278 pre-flop, made a big difference to his stack, but because he didn't, this guy did donk just any pair on the flop. This is also a good read, because now that I've seen how he plays a 4 here, it's very likely he's just donking any hand that he makes on the flop. And then he gets lucky back. But yeah, it was a good read to have. Queen 4 way too loose, obviously. Just keep getting reads against people. Never stop getting reads. So here's an interesting hand. So I actually don't like this play, because this guy's limping under the gun. He's not known. His name is Super Ollie 268. I don't think I've seen very many good players with a name like this. This is probably the sort of thing. I don't mean to offend anyone watching who's like this, but you're like this is the sort of thing like a sports fan is kind of like, or like a lad, shall we say? The type of lads. They go to the bar, have a few drinks. They got mates. They call them. They got a mate called Oliver. Calls him Super Ollie, and then he just registers and he's like, "What do I call myself?" In my line, I know I'll use my nickname, Super Ollie. I don't mean to offend these kinds of people because there are a lot of like people out there like that who are going to be good at poker, but that sort of person is probably more likely to be a recreational or weaker poker player, especially when you're limping under the gun of a 30 big blind stack. So, like, I'm thinking he's probably a weaker player. I don't mind, I guess, raising this, but I don't like the raise because I'm not going to get the folds. Because the point of raising here is to isolate him, be in a pot in position against him, specifically him. But this hand goes down in value when he goes multi-way because it's quite this guy's quite loose. This guy's showing some aggression. It's starting to show aggression now. This guy is a wreck for sure, based on how I've seen him play. But this guy's very likely to peel very wide, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But if he peels and then he peels, it's not going to be amazing. So I actually would prefer just to limp here with my king queen. Because I don't really mind going post flop, and I don't mind folding this hand if I get squeezed. Because when I get post flop, I do feel like I can have an edge on these people. This guy overcalls, which is interesting. So he has something he wants to play, pocket pairs. He's tight, so I think he could be set mining. He could have like a good strong range, so something to bear with. Obviously this guy's calling, he ain't going anywhere. He jams, and I'm just out of there. So when he's doing this, I'm thinking he very likely has aces. I mean, he could be a fish, and he could just be limb jamming something like sevens, sixes, which wouldn't be a terrible strategy, because he's got all these folds, he picked up all this dead money. But that's probably the reason I don't like the ISO raises. I've put way too much money in this pot to just lose it. I put 3 big blinds in, and I haven't even seen a flop. And the pot was always going to be very hard to win because it was very likely to go multi-way with the big blind and this guy on the button. So yeah, I think prefer just a call behind would have been the best strategy in my opinion. Well done to Super Ollie. Ollie. Wins the pot. Do say way too weak. 10-3. I probably wouldn't defend the blind with his hands. If it gets limped by this guy, I'd be fine, obviously, with the fold. Let's go have a look at this pot though, because it's an interesting one. We got an all in, kings v queens, pretty standard. Ace 4, we're also in the small blinds. Nick, the young boss, raises 2 point whatever x. 2.5, nearly 3, just over 2.6x kind of hands. Yeah, we're going to fold. We're just not doing very well against his range. He could be a looser player. Our hand plays pretty poorly. Out of position post flop. So easy fold. This guy donks, leaves interesting, making some move. King 4. It's the same thing. This guy in the blind, I think I want to fold this. And obviously it's probably way too loose in general to fold. But like I've been talking about before, on some tables, like stealing this is totally fine, but this is not a table to do it on, so we just give him the pot. 10-8 is a hand we can play. When this guy raises on the gun, it's like another one we could maybe go for a call here. We're around 50 bigs though. We've seen this guy squeeze a little bit. Not squeeze, but free bet quite a bit. Maybe not. So yeah, he's free bet a little bit. I think overcalling here on the cutoff is probably, I don't know, it's kind of close. He's under the gun. We do have some good implieds, but for 40-50 bigs, 10-8 suited, I think it's not. It's like 9-8 hand of earlier. It's a hand we can definitely play if we want to. I don't mind folding though. Okay, now we're folding, but it would have been interesting to see what would happen post flop. I think flatting there would have been fine, even though there's no evidence that these guys are going to squeeze super wide. Strider might jam a little bit more, but with under the gun, I don't think Strider's going to jam as much. So I think we can see a flop there. No problem. That would be fine to call. 4 deuce is just way too loose to open. Same with 6-9. Then deuce off. 4-9 in the big blind. So yeah, this guy's 3x in it. Now we know he's loose, we know he's splashy, and we know we're going to get a decent price. But we still would have folded if he just folded to us, because we want to be a bit stronger, like 9-6 suited kind of hand. Versus a 3x, I'd say 9-6 suited would be the weakest we'd defend. Versus this guy, versus different players, probably like 9-7 suited. Versus this guy specifically, I'd put 9-6 suited in that range. Against a 3x, against a min open, we probably want to defend this against him specifically. Probably against like cut off plus as well would be fine. With the ante and our pot odds and stack depth being decent, but yeah, this guy obviously had a rejam stack too. Then this guy rejamming is just like gonna be strong. See what we got here. Super Ollie rejams of 8s, runs into aces. Lucky Ollie. King 9. So yeah, we're back against our friend here. So raising here is interesting. Limping's fine. Against this guy, because we know we can get folds pre-flop, I prefer just raising like 180. Could min raise 200. See where we go from there. Go min raise. Yeah, we get off fold. Against other players, limping is the best strat. Like all this is just adjusting the people. That's all this tournament's been. It's just like adjusting and making the right adjustments that are going to be profitable. And sometimes I'm going to lose pots and it's going to be frustrating. Sometimes people are going to fight back and it's going to be frustrating, but it's just keep adjusting. And that's it. Yeah, so I end this part.